and Make Events by David Caruso. He is the president and creative director of his amazing company. My name is Chantel McKenzie, and I am the CEO and principal strategist of the PowHER Network. And we do these PowHER lunches normally Monday through Friday at noon. We've been kind of scattered and we're doing 3 this week just because of some things happening in my personal life, but I have some amazing guests. And I have long been a fan of David and his work. I've been to many events that he was the orchestrator of, or as I like, chaos coordinator, anyone who does event planning. And he just always does a beautiful job, and it's always so creatively done. I think the last event I was at that I knew that you were the orchestrator was the Tempo Leadership Summit that happened. And just, I had never seen, for those of you who are local, I had never seen the Italian Community Center, which is a large facility here, look the way that you made it look. And I was so impressed with how you utilized the lighting and the staging. And I immediately was like, I have to just get to know him because he is phenomenal at what he does. And at the core of what I do is I help entrepreneurs with building their brands and making sure that they are
building a sustainable brand and a reputable brand and one that's trusted. And you have done a great job of that. And so I wanted to have this conversation just to learn more about you, to share you with the network, and to also just to talk about how you've pivoted during this time and how you even got to this space that you've built a brand that has so much name recognition, because I think so many young entrepreneurs coming behind us really need that type of insight. So thank you for being here.
Oh, wow, Chantel, this is just so great. When you asked me, I was so excited because, I've heard so much about you. I've seen you, I've been watching you. So many colleagues and friends have told me great things about you and have been on your network here. So I was so happy, and this is such a fun way to spend Wednesday. I've been sending you lots of positive vibes. I know after your husband's accident that you have a lot going on. So I'm thrilled and honored to be a part of this conversation. So thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So let's start at the beginning. At what moment did you wake up and decide, I'm going to create my company?
Oh, wow. Well, this is a good part of the story. And this is what I like about our conversation is that, to be honest, most people don't know the beginning. So a lot of people only know me from, the time that I've had my business. So this is a great place to start. And actually, I grew up in Milwaukee. I grew up in Wauwatosa, and I went to Marquette University for college. Actually there, my major was television broadcasting. So I thought I was going to be the next Peter Jennings Jr., if you want to know the truth. But after, growing up, I did a lot of theater. I was always interested in creative outlets. So for me, I knew that my passion lied in doing creative things that related to storytelling and what I call a lot of razzle dazzle. So Chantel, it looks like you're frozen. Can you hear me?
I'm back.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now go ahead.
Perfect.
Last thing I heard was
perfect.
Hey, Peggy. Okay, go ahead.
Hey, Peggy. So anyway, to make a long story kind of short, I, at Marquette, had a class, and we were tasked with creating a small business that we thought we would love. And I created something called dynamic design. And at that time, I actually even turned it into a business, and out of my apartment on the east side near Linwood and Murray. During college, I earned money by doing similar things on a very, very smaller scale than what you currently do now, but doing marketing and branding for small businesses. And at that point, it was like designing business cards and letterhead and newsletters and old day kind of things. And what happened was Ed DeBevics came to town. And I don't know if you ever dined there, but it was.
I did.
So much fun, right? so much fun. So I actually started
Mhm.
working there very part-time, but I
Mhm.
ended up loving the hospitality world. So I
Mhm.
started uh, being on the management team there at Ed DeBevics and implemented a private party and events program down there at 780 North Jefferson Street, which is now the Plum Lounge.
Mhm.
Um, and so that's kind of what got me started in events. What happened after that is I moved to Chicago to the parent company of Ed DeBevics and started
My
working in the
hometown.
market.
Mhm.
Oh,
Mhm.
cool. I love Chicago.
Yeah. Yay. Mhm.
Uh, so cool. So
Mhm.
I eventually became the director of marketing there for 3 restaurant brands and did a lot of store openings, celebrity appearances, local promotions in the different communities where we had stores. And I just absolutely fell in love with hospitality. So the one thing I didn't love so much was the corporate world. So I decided very, very unexpectedly on a Friday, I was taking the L train back to my apartment in Oak Park. And I remember very
Mhm.
specifically calling my mom and saying, I think that I am going to go into work on Monday and give my notice. I want to come home and start a
Mhm.
business called Dynamic Events. So
Mhm.
it was really not very planned, but I ended
Mhm.
up having several weeks of vacation time. So I took that. I came back to Milwaukee, and my first priority was finding out what was happening here, who was
Mhm.
planning events, what kind of businesses were already existing, and how could I
Mhm.
differentiate myself. That was
Mhm.
the biggest
Mhm.
thing for me. So at that
Mhm.
time, I realized, and this was 18 years ago, I realized
Mhm.
that it was basically women, they skewed to be a little older and they were working from their homes.
Mhm.
So for
Mhm.
me, I had one thing already on the top list that I'm a guy. So
Mhm. Right. Right.
that was a differentiator so far.
Mhm.
Um, so I ended up getting a studio down in the third ward in the Marshall building. It actually
Mhm.
was a storage closet for my friend at the
Mhm.
time who started his own fitness studio. And it was his storage room that we turned into an office for me, and added a
Mhm.
doorway into the hallway to kind of make it look official. And that's how I started. I actually had never planned a wedding when I started my
Mm.
business.
Okay.
But I didn't let anybody know that. I started with
Mhm.
that fake it till you make it approach.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I just knew that, my dad asked me, he said, so this is great, but how many events do you need to plan to pay the rent? And I
Mhm.
remember telling him, I said, I have no idea, Dad, but we're about to find out.
Right. 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 I love that story, and I love. There's so many good nuggets in there that don't want individuals to miss. So spoken like a true marketer, because you said there wasn't a plan, but we always have a plan. So
Yeah.
starting with like, what is my unique value proposition that I can bring to my industry, and how can I differentiate myself? Because typically, nothing that any of us create as a business is a business that doesn't already exist, but it's what do
Right.
you bring to the industry that's different than anyone else that is really
Right.
going to build your customer base. And then being in this market, it's definitely a market of reputation and referral. So like, how can you be fantastic? Someone said David is fantastic. I agree. And so then you also have to deliver dynamically, So, and so
Yes.
I love that. I love that. And then your dad asked the question that a mentor asked of me, because I had a similar journey. I spent many years in corporate in sales and marketing, first with AT&T and T and then direct supply. And when I decided to take the leap to
I'm going to wait for Chantel.
Well, we're just going to keep going, David. I apologize. You know, I do
That's
everything.
okay. I'm here for you.
My is not being my friend right now. But what I was going to say is my mentor said to me similar about understanding my numbers. And, you know, I made a decision quickly that if I could not pay myself what the market was willing to pay me, then perhaps I did not need to be in business for myself. And so that's always my litmus test. If I cannot pay myself that minimally, and then some with having a family. And so, okay, and that fake it till you make it approach. I actually, so I do some event planning, but it's typically because a client has hired me to do the branding and marketing, and then decided, well, you probably should just execute for me. I can't say that that's a wheelhouse that I chose. It kind of chose me. And so when I see someone like you with your headset on, you know, orchestrating it. My mom is a phenomenal event planner in Chicago and has been a majority of my life. So I definitely played her apprentice a lot of times. So I was able to jump into that. But I think that it just takes a certain personality type. So of course, you being a male, but also just that creative mindset. What do you say to someone? Because there's so many people who long to get into this space. What do you think it takes to be successful?
Well, you know, here's what's interesting, and just a quick clarification. You know, the fake it till you make it part only gets you so far. So I don't want people to misunderstand that.
Don't. And I got that because he's very good at what he does. Yes. Yeah.
So, but I will say that without having planned a wedding in that example, like I took on my first wedding and I just said, I can do this, no problem. But the difference is what you can't fake is being able to operate a business that's going to be responsible in terms of making yourself a living, taking good care of clients, and making a difference in your community. So, you know, that part is definitely where the skill set comes in. But what I will say is, in terms of people getting into this kind of a job or having a business like mine, I will say that what I find to be the most, probably the biggest misconception is that you can do it if you're just creative or if you just know how to make a party look pretty.
Right.
That is false.
Correct. Because I don't have those skill sets. I'm the coordinator and I partner with the creative.
Yeah, see, it takes a village. Amen. But the biggest thing is, and this was for me early on, my biggest challenge was you have to actually first and foremost be a business person and understand at least the fundamentals of business and what it takes. So for me, you know, even over these past 18 years, that's what I've always consistently learned the most about, because it probably was my biggest weakness at the beginning. So, but on the other hand, related to that, I also learned very early on that you need to find the people that fill in the gaps of your weakest aspects of your own skill set.
Absolutely.
And to be quite honest, that has been the one thing that has really taken me to where I am, is the people that I've had along on the journey. And I have a business model that is focused on, you know, a boutique small brand. I really don't see myself having a team of 50 people. You know, I like to keep it small because I have found that for me, what works is my direct and constant influence on the events and projects that I work with on clients. So, you know, I'm not passing things off. Someone else isn't doing it. You know, it's me. And I think that has really proven year after year to be, you know, one of the strongest assets about what I do. And what I love, Chantel, is that, you know, the greatest part about this is that I love kind of being, like you said, the coordinator, the conductor of event experiences, because it really gives an opportunity for so many people, whether you're on the wait staff, a photographer, an entertainer, to feel awesome, to be a part of something spectacular,
Right.
And to have somebody like myself working with you to be successful, to feel good about what you contribute, to know that you're doing an excellent job and that it's appreciated, and that all of these people at any given event are experiencing it live and as a one-time only experience. So I mean, that's what I love about it.
I agree. I mean, so I always say, like, I'm the quarterback, and then it also feels good because all of those different people that you mentioned that come together to help pull together this experience for the client, you're affecting their lives too, especially if they own a small business, and you're helping them gain revenue as well and notoriety for their business. And I feel like yourself, you know, there's a level of excellence and expectation with partnership. And because at the end of the day, as the quarterback and the single point of contact for the client, did Chantel pull it off? And so, and so I love that you have that perspective. So now let's talk about 2020 and how, I'm sure similar to yourself, and Sherry is on another amazing
I wanted to give a shout out to Sherry.
I love Sherry. Oh my God. What you did for Danielle Bly's vow renewal was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, like ever. And so just the attention to detail. Let's talk about that, because even behind you, like, there, and you're right, it's not, and I didn't do this, by the way. Alta Smith of Flourish Designs did this. I have to connect you and Alta. She's phenomenal. Even down to the credenza behind me that was like this old piece that she found on Facebook Market, and she's a builder of things, and so that's her skill set. And I think that's the other piece that's critical too, is that you have to know your skill set. And you said that in the places that I'm weak, like when we moved into our new, this home that we just moved into, I wanted it colorful and I wanted it to be boho chic. That's not my gift. I would have just went into a store and said, do that, but that's her gift. And looking at some of your pictures, you posted recently an outdoor picture that I was just blown away by. And so that is a gift. And I know I don't have that gift. And so I don't try to fake it like I do. But I tell clients, I know people with those gifts, and I'm good to say, like, you should call them, or I can call them for you, and we can partner, because this is my gift. Yeah. So, but let's talk about details, because Oprah, I worked at Harpo Studios for a couple of years, and that really impacted me about the love being in the details.
Yes.
So
I mean,
tell me how.
Go ahead. You're so true. And, you know, we're going to talk offline about this, because I don't know if you know how much Lady O is an inspiration to me, because I got to show you some pictures.
There's a picture of she and I. Oh my God!
I know.
Like, this is me and Oprah.
I mean, you're going to make me cry, girl. Just because I'm going to tell you some stories, but we'll do that offline.
Okay, I can't wait. All right. Hey, Mainza.
So you're absolutely right. I mean, I say all the time, the magic is in the details, and I don't take that lightly. And really, for me, you know, I think one of the things about event experiences that I produce, it really is about how it makes people feel. You know, what is the guest experience, and how do the details impact them on every level? Not only from what it looks like, but to how things taste, how the flow is, how the timing is, how the seating is arranged, how the speakers are formatted. You know, everything influences the overall experience. And so, but what people love are what I call signature details, signature statements. And the greatest joy for me is seeing guests connect with those signature statements throughout an event. And I also say, related to that, you know, my focus has always been, don't give it all away at once.
Right.
You know, kind of like when you're on your first date with somebody, don't give it away.
Right.
So
good.
I like surprises.
Yeah. Right. Let me unwrap that package.
you know, and I tell people all the time, they're like, David, I don't want people to, you know, I don't want my party to end at 10 o'clock or for my guests to leave, you know. Well, and I always say the reason why people leave at 10:30 is because they are bored.
Right.
So,
right. So what does that
yeah.
next evolution of the event look like? What does that run a show
Exactly.
that's going to keep this string running, that I want to stay at this wedding or this event all day and night?
Exactly. And you know, one of the coolest things for me is that now after all this time, people know that about me. So, you know, when guests see me at an event, they know don't leave because something's going to happen.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. I love that.
And
I love that.
That's where the branding comes in, you know, is because, you know, people all the time, they might not see me right away at a party. And then when they see me, they're like, I knew it. I could tell.
Right.
It was you.
Right.
And that's what you want people to feel and experience. And ultimately, the other part that I love about the details and what we create for clients is that I have seen connections happen that are like literally life-changing. I've seen people be exposed to other people that once they're connected have changed their life. It has made divorced parents have a pleasant time together and feel a much more, you know, peaceful resolution. It really has, it really has the power. And one of the things I miss most about right now is that that's not happening. And for what people want and for how people feel and for what we're all experiencing right now in terms of tension and some anxiety and other things, unfortunately, experiences like this probably would be super helpful.
Yeah. And you know, and you're right. And that's why it, you know, even despite, you know, my husband's accident last week, that's why I'm like, Power Lunch has to keep going, because the feedback, just being able to laugh and have a conversation and the various topics, even when I have, you know, the more serious guests, and, you know, and, you know, Cecilia was on with me last week, and yesterday, one of my mentors that I call an aunt was on. And so every topic is, people are looking for connection. And that's that's what I love about what you do, what Sherry does, what people who are truly event architects and producers do is we're constantly focused on innovating and pushing the envelope. And that's that signature mark of, I knew David did this, because I mean, when I walked in to the Tempo event and saw how you pulled the lighting down, you know, and so here I'm snapping pictures. I'm like, because I'm all into the details. I'm like, but not snapping pictures to copy, but just because I was so impressed. Because that told me right there so much about your brand and the thoughtfulness that you put into my experience as I'm sitting in this space, and even how you you know, drafted out and you know, I'm sure you do CAD drawings and things like my team of how we were going to sit around that circular stage. And so many people jump into this business because like they can, and I'm going to say, you know, my team, we have this, we don't do fake flowers. And so like, and,
yeah,
we don't do fake flowers.
No
like,
fake,
if we can't afford it, we're like, well, do you want crystals? We can do branches. We can get some candles going, but we are not doing. You called the wrong people.
Oh yeah, no fake.
No fake flowers. And
I always say, and the biggest mistake this happened to me like years and years ago, and sorry, I interject quickly related to fake, is I had a client say, well, my aunt is going to do our place cards. This was like way back when. And I said, yes. And that is one of the biggest takeaways I have said, like, your aunt ain't doing nothing.
Right. It's my team or no go. Like, or I got to vet. If it's somebody, I'm open, but can I vet them? And I'm honest. They know, like, oh, that cake, no, that won't, you know, it's like, I'll go out, I'll go get the cake cutters and the glasses if you, because we can't, that's going to throw off the whole motif of this whole experience we're creating.
It's so true.
Yes. And now let's talk about, because one of the things that I pride myself on too is really building a relationship with the vendors and the venues. And so I think for someone watching this who wants to get into the business too, they need to understand not just the power of relationships with clients and community, but also about how far it goes to be kind to the people who you need to support you. So share some insight on that.
Oh my gosh, this is one of my favorite things to talk about with people. And I'm so glad we're on the same page about this. You know, there's a couple of things that I know for sure about the privilege that I have about interacting with large teams of people that aren't really my team, but work for other, you know, larger organizations, or whether it's a hotel or anything else like that. You know, the real fact of the matter is that the way you treat people has an enormous impact on how the event experience comes to life. And I learned that so early on, and you will see me in the back of house. I am checking in, not to tell them what to do, but just to see how they're doing and to have fun with the chefs, or you know, the people that are helping to keep things clean. I'm high-fiving the wait staff. I'm complimenting them on their manicure, their hair.
Absolutely. We are friends. Like, hey, girl.
Oh gosh.
Oh, you ironed the heck out of that chef.
Yeah, it's so true. You know, security, everybody, you know.
Everybody, yes.
Yes. And that, to be quite honest, is one of the things that, although it's just my innate way of being with people, it also is a huge benefit to my clients, because people are in a good mood. They're happy. They feel well respected, well taken care of, and therefore they do a good job. I tell people, like, I give them little things to say. I'm like, okay, when you go to your table, let's say, hey, my name is David, and I can't wait to serve you today because it's my pleasure. So there's just little things, you know, and a lot of times they're overlooked because there's so many other things to do. But you have to get back to the basics. And the way you treat people and how you make them feel is the foremost thing that will can change an event one way or the other. And quite honestly, I have made some great friends with people are on, you know, the wait staff at different venues, or
the concierge people,
everybody.
Yes. And you know, Maya Angelou said it best. She said, people, you know, they will they may forget what you said, what you did, but they won't forget how you made them feel.
And so that part I love, and it's a joy for me. The other thing that I hear often is from lots of different people, vendor partners, and also guests at parties, like, David, how are you so calm? Like, every time I see you, you're so calm.
Yes, absolutely. That's our job.
And that's our job. And I always tell people, especially getting into the business, like, you know, don't let them see you sweat.
No,
you know,
because they don't know if it's a mistake unless it's on your face.
Yes. You know, if something happens that's dreadful, that's what the back room is for. You can cry behind the scenes. You can, you know, stomp your feet behind the scenes, but not in front of people. So,
I had an event last year where the power went out. I was at Marquette, and the power went out. The grid went out for the whole area, and we were in the Alumni Center. And so we didn't have sound. We didn't, you know, we had the backup lights. And I just started engaging with the crowd. They were eating anyway. So I just pretended like we were having ambiance in the middle of brunch, and and went from table to table to just make everyone laugh and feel comfortable and make sure my client knew it happened at the perfect time. They're eating anyway. And I agree with, I just want to echo what you're saying to the young professional watching this, or person who was really interested in it, but we're saying it, and he's 18 years in, and I'm 20 years into sales and marketing, and gosh, my mom is 30 plus years into event planning, so I was on her hip as a kid watching, and so it's complicated. So it's a skill set. So you see David smiling, and you see us looking serious and like we've got it all together. But it is a learned skill set, and it is something that you really have to, you cannot move an emotion in this type of industry, because the team is looking to you and you are maintaining the temperature of how things will flow for everyone.
Right.
Wouldn't
Yeah,
you agree?
it's so true. It is, that
Mm-hmm.
is so true. And
Mm-hmm.
the other thing that's interesting about this is that although you have to plan for excellence and perfection,
Mm-hmm.
you absolutely have to maintain a sense of flexibility.
Right.
And that's where a lot of people go wrong too,
Mm-hmm.
is that honestly, some of the mistakes that have happened, whether it's something doesn't show up or, like
Mm-hmm.
you said, the power goes out somewhere or something,
Mm-hmm.
something goes wrong. To be
Mm-hmm.
honest with you, some of the best things have happened as a result of the original
Right.
plan going wrong.
Agreed.
And if you can't be flexible or can't be open to things going wrong at important
Mm-hmm.
times, you're pretty much blocking the opportunity for something better to happen.
Right.
And that's
Mm-hmm.
another thing why I tend to go with the flow as much as possible, is because
Mm-hmm.
I've learned and I've seen firsthand that usually if something goes wrong or if something has to be adjusted, it's something or someone or some
Mm-hmm.
power telling you
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't right to begin with.
Right, right, right. And to be, that's where that creativity kicks in too. And that's that gift of flexibility of, you have your run of show, but if you have to tweak quickly, that you're that agile on your feet. That's a
Right.
gift in itself. You can't, and that's when people break down, is because they are so stuck on their plan that when the plan falls apart, they fall apart, because now it can't look how it was supposed to look. And
Right.
with event plans tend to fall apart. You can do all your best run throughs, and something is going
It's
to
live,
happen.
honey.
Exactly. And guess what? And just like these live videos, when I try to coach people on how to go live, I'm like, it's live, so you just got to keep going and keep,
Go.
like how we've had a couple of, and I can tell your
Yeah.
friend, like, hey, and I'm not gonna act up, because I can't control what's happening with the Wi-Fi. Right? I
Right.
don't know what's happening outside. And so I love, 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 love that. I also want to say, and I hope that you would agree too. Yes, Sherry, flexibility and patience. Um, there is this thought, and that's why I wanted to have this conversation with you. And I think collaboration is so key. And I love to platform people who do things in excellence. It does
Right.
not, there is so much work out here, and there's such a need. And if you understand your target audience and your unique niche, you will not have a problem having a conversation with a colleague that you have respect for. Or even, Denise Thomas and I are good friends and colleagues, and we tend to overlap in a few skill sets, and we recommend one another all the time. And there's so many people like that. And, I've recommended people to you. And I just want to say that is something else that comes with confidence too, as well. And,
Right.
and understanding, like, my business is set. I'm good. My brand is good. Your brand is good. And so that's important. But then also, let's talk to, because I'm sure you have, how important it is that the people that you have with you, my team, I'm talking about like my sergeants who are in charge with me that day, they are a reflection of me. And so I know, hey, Tammy, I know that if I'm not in the room, or if I'm not with the client, they are speaking to the client, the wait staff, the venue, the sponsors, the vendors, etc., in the same tone, manner, and direction in which I would. So talk about the importance of building that team.
So that is, like you said, absolutely another critical aspect to this. And it's what we all say, it boils down to trust. And it also means you have to be an open book. You have to be authentic yourself, and you have to be genuine. And when people know that it's the real you, that you care about them, they're going to care about you, that you trust them, they're going to trust you. And, right now, one of the things that I am super grateful for is that I have really a core group of people and vendor partners that, have worked with me consistently for years. But on the other hand, I love new talent. I love to, build into the mix new people all the time. But the
Mhm.
point of this is that I can now look across the room and
Mhm.
certain people on my team know what my face is telling them,
Right.
and they
Right.
know what needs to
Mhm.
happen.
Mhm.
And again, that's a huge benefit to clients too, is
Right.
because it doesn't even always take now me telling people. They can literally look at me and
Mhm.
know what needs to happen.
Mhm.
So, and I know that people have my back. I know
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
That coach, I've had, my sister's worked with me for 15 years.
That's great.
She pretty
Mhm.
much runs the business side of things,
Mhm.
so she and I are super tight that way. But in
Mhm.
terms of vendor partners, the people I have a long-standing established relationship with, it is because they're excellent at what they do.
Mhm.
They are
Right.
they are talented in their craft. But look at Peggy. She has seen
I
that
know,
look.
that's hilarious. I love
She
you,
knows
Bianca.
it. Uh,
Funny.
but ultimately, people know that whether it's a look or whatever it is, it's because it needs to be the right way for a reason. And it's not to
Right.
serve me, it's to serve other people. It's to
Right.
make sure that that production team is being showcased in an excellent way so that
Mhm.
everyone thinks they did a great job. It's to ensure that the
Absolutely.
client gets a good experience so that they're happy at the end. And
Right.
that's one of the things that's funny about having my name in my business. I mean, you know this
Mhm.
from a
Mhm.
branding standpoint,
Mhm.
is that the people that really know me know that it, is really not about me.
Right.
But
Right.
it just is how my brand has come together. But the people
Right.
that really know me know that what I do has very little to do with me. It's really
Right.
about everyone else involved.
Absolutely. And I think that's critical. I often tell people, whether you're in marketing, branding, event planning, ego really has to go out the door because it's not about you. It's about the client and what you're serving and the experience in which you're providing for their guests. And
Right.
so if it's all about you, this isn't the business for you. Or if you're looking for some big pat on the back or something, like the pat on the back is, did the check clear? Like a lot of times. And did they refer someone else, for your
Right.
services? And
Right.
not that, it's great when clients send thank you cards, and that does happen often, and gifts and things like that. But it's not an expectation. What brings me the most joy is when I'm standing back and watching everyone enjoy what we've crafted for them,
Right.
especially for me, because I typically have gone from ideation, from creating maybe what the logo looks like and what the name of the event was, all the way down to having my creative team come in and do the production piece of it. And it just means, so from the lighting to walk in that room to the food, it's so critical, and I get such joy, and that's the biggest thank you, is that they got what they wanted from, and we exceeded their expectations.
Right. Now,
Mhm.
and this is the other thing that people, I love platforms like this where I can like,
Mhm.
shut down some of the
Mhm.
misconceptions or,
Mhm.
let people always
Mhm.
say like, you're not usually asked the questions, you're asking
Mhm.
them. So I love this.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
one of the other things that I think is super important for
Mhm.
listeners and for just in general about life is that it really isn't all that it looks like from the outside too.
Right.
And
Right.
one of the most important things that people need to realize, and I tell this when I talk to students or other colleagues that are getting
Mhm.
started, or when I'm talking to big crowds of people for
Mhm.
keynotes or whatever it is that everybody fails. I mean,
Right.
everybody
Right.
has downturns. They have,
Absolutely.
I mean, I remember there was a time where I got literally fired from a project, and it was
Mhm.
kind of early on in my business, and I
Mhm.
thought that it was over. I'm like, okay, this
Mhm.
is great. Someone on the dance
Right.
floor fired me, and that's it.
Mhm.
So I might
Right.
as well just pack it up now.
Right.
And I I remembered how awful and devastating that was,
Mhm. Mhm.
and how other things like that over
Mhm.
the years have felt,
Mhm.
because they happen to everybody.
Absolutely.
And
Mhm.
every single time, every time, the end result has been, if you are doing what you're meant to do in a way that is authentic and genuine, nothing or no one can knock you off the track.
Say
It's
that.
going to keep on going.
Because
And
I bet another client came right behind, even bigger, as soon as that happened.
Yeah, and the thing is that some people, want to see you get knocked off. But
Right.
the difference is, if you can move forward with grace and you can continue on the journey that you know is true for you,
Yes.
and do a good job and serve
Yes.
people and help your community, those same people are going to turn around and they're going to say, wow, I mean, just can't be nudged.
I think David Caruso just preached, you guys. I think this we started in the church. Bruce just preached a whole word. We went from events to church. We are in the church.
Yes, church.
That was church. Don't miss it, because that is a statement for no matter what you do. So yes, yes, and Adrian and Kimberly, like everyone, Chandra.
They're like, ooh, look at him.
And I'm like, amen, amen. So thank you for that word. You can send offerings to Dynamic Events.
Yes. At Events by DC, I'm going to start a new church service. I'm going to get a choir and everything.
Oh, it's going to be fabulous. Can I sing? Can I sing?
Oh, boy. I mean, I'm telling you, when we're together in person, the two of us are going to be trouble.
Yes, I can't wait. I can't wait. Hey, yes, Tammy said, yep, you just preached, Tammy Garrett. So many of our friends are on. We love you guys.
This is the thing. Oh, sorry. This is the thing, too, that I really, Tammy, Peggy, Sherry, I mean, so many people that are on here and not on here, and I don't even know who all is. But anyway, the point is that there are people that are with you the whole way.
Yes.
And, those people should be cherished. They should be honored. You should show up for them.
Absolutely.
Peggy was a cheerleader from day one, and we have great stories. Tammy is a cheerleader like I can't be more grateful for. And there are just countless people like that. And make sure you cheer for them.
Absolutely. And in an authentic way. I love, and you're right. It's about showing up for one another, and not just when it is something that is favorable, that can work in your favor, but showing up when they need you the most, when they need a cheering section, because it is so critical as we build these relationships. And we're all the ladies you mentioned are they're all busy just like we're busy, and so we can't show up for everything at all times. So show up may look like text. It may look like, it may look like I'm with you, but you're right. I mean, just knowing that you have those cheerleaders for one another is so critical. And I cherish all the women that you mentioned have played such a pivotal role in my brand, because having those relationships adds credibility. I mean, there's no other way around it. It really does. And so as you're building a business, one of the things that I prayed about was because I spent so many years on the road when I was in corporate, and I'm a transplant. I've lived here 25 years, but I moved here for college, was the evolution of my network and the growth in my network, because I knew how critical that would be for me to do what I endeavored to do and impact the city the way that I wanted to impact the city. And I'm thankful to say that prayer was answered. But it also took me, I reached out to you. We've never met in person. I admired your work. And I mean, I reached out. It was very authentic. I don't reach out to anyone unless it's authentic. And just taking those type of courageous steps. And I've done that with so many people. So it just really, as a leader, as an entrepreneur, like, you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. We talked about that last night on Emily Phillips' call on Lead Like an Ally, about how in order to change things, it's really about moving in uncomfortable spaces at all times. And,
Right.
you know, in our lines of work, things always feel uncomfortable. But I think that people like, I find comfort in that. I'm fine with that.
Right.
I'm used to it feeling a little chaotic. Emily teases me all the time of like, I don't know if you could live any other way. And some of my other mentors, because it's just kind of like how life works. And so,
Yeah. And I think the other thing related to that is to just also kind of know, like, you know, to listen to your body, to listen to yourself and know, like,
mm-hmm,
when you are uncomfortable. You know, honestly, this time of not having events happening,
mm-hmm,
and quite
mm-hmm,
honestly, you know, there was a period of this COVID experience where every day I was waking up and more of my friends and colleagues were laid off or furloughed or
mm-hmm,
fired or,
mm-hmm.
you know, business. I mean, it really was depressing a lot of
Yeah.
the time.
Mm-hmm.
And
Agreed.
I'm a doer, you know, I like
Mm-hmm.
to do things. I like to keep going. I like
Mm-hmm.
to, you know, always have some things in the
Mm-hmm.
on the burner, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I have really had to focus sometimes and really realize that some of this is uncomfortable for me. It's not pleasant, you know, and realize that it's okay to know that you're not doing what you love. Like your
Mm-hmm.
passion is not happening.
Right.
So it's okay if you don't feel great every day because
Mm-hmm.
it's different, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, like, you know, talking to people like you and doing DC
Mm-hmm.
Live, and you know,
Mm-hmm.
with my husband too, we did Oh My,
Mm-hmm.
we're live, and you know,
Mm-hmm.
because those are things that you can still take care of what gives you passion. You can
Right.
at the same time help other people and make it
Right.
fun for them, and just make sure that you're still doing things that, you know, feed your need and make you still feel your best, even though it's
Mm-hmm.
a little bit different than what
Right.
you know, might ultimately want to be doing.
Right.
But you know, it's okay to not always, you know, it's not every day that I want to be posting on social media or having
Right.
conversations with people, and it's just a different feeling, and that's okay too.
Yeah, and we talked about that, you know, before we went live. And you even sent me a message, you know, a few days ago with what happened with my husband last week, and everyone who's been my guest this week sent a similar message saying, "Do we need to reschedule?" And I'm like, "No, I have to keep doing. I have to keep going because that's part of, you know, who I am." And you're right to give yourself permission that when things are this different, and I've had to say this even to my children, and my husband has said this. He's like, you know, if you come out of this in your right mind, you know, because there's all these memes like, if you don't come out of this with a new skill set and another business and another stream of revenue, like what were you doing with this time? And it's like maybe you were being introspective and strategic and
Right.
resting. And you know, it's great if you come out of it with some type of contingency plan and some other innovative idea, but don't beat yourself up if you just came out of it alive. And
Right.
especially with everything that's happened um this year, period. I mean, there's just so
Right.
much going on, and if you haven't figured out how to pivot right away, um but your life is still on and your bills are still paid and you're able to eat, just every day there's something to be grateful for.
Yeah.
And, you know, definitely none of us saw this coming and the effects on our business at all, but there's also not very much we can do about it. And
No,
so,
it really
and I've even
isn't.
had to tell my young adult children, my oldest son, he's fiercely independent. And, you know, there was a day he came over to the house and unemployment was really slow when he first got laid off. And his girlfriend was in the room and I was like, does he have food at his house? And she's like, not a lot. And he's not the kind of kid that's going to tell me that or even ask. And so he
Right.
had went upstairs to talk to my husband. And when he came back down, I had packed up all these groceries. And he was like, thanks, Mom. And so lesson for him, I'm trying to really get him to understand that it's okay to say you're not okay,
Right.
especially to your mom. But then also that you didn't do this. So you don't have to feel bad. No one thinks that you are like this lazy. You work two jobs. You live on your own at 21. You pay all your own bills. We don't take care of you. So if you need help right now and we're in a position to help you, that's okay.
Right. That is so okay. And it
Mm-hmm.
is true that, you know, you can't be good for anybody else if you don't take care of yourself first. So
Yes.
like you said, you know, now's a good time to really take care of yourself so what then we come
Mm-hmm.
out of this and are for those of us that don't really, have a lot happening from a business standpoint now, when we come out of
Mhm.
it, we're going to be good. We're going to be
Mhm.
feeling good. We're going to be healthy. We're going to have a right
Mhm.
frame of mind. We're going to have
Mhm.
energy. We're going to
Mhm.
still feel the passion. That can be the best thing, and it
Mhm.
can be necessary. So we have to be
Right.
able to make each other feel good about
Right.
doing that too.
Right. On the flip side of that, though, I will say I've done a lot of coaching during this time and really helped people who normally would do things in person pivot digitally. So I want to encourage other people watching too. You have the skills to pay the bills,
Right.
and we have the technology. So what can you do to continue to grow your brand during this time? Can you teach? Can you use, do some floral arranging? Can you, and I'm just using that because of,
Right.
what you do, or, can you teach someone how to make some lavender lemonade? Like, what can you do?
Right.
Can you make a charcuterie board? Like, what can you do in the meantime to kind of educate people so you can continue to build the brand? And to the point of what you said, like, I want to be off, but
Right.
but I need the brand to continue on. There's some days
Yes.
that I just want to be off, and I'm fortunate, but then it's also unfortunate some days that I can't. And so this is a great time to be doing some strategy planning about what can you do, and also about being in that out of your comfort zone, because so many people are uncomfortable on video or doing things like that. It doesn't have to be live. You can pre-record it and edit it. I tell people that all the time. Like,
Yes.
I don't feel comfortable going live. Okay, pre-record it and edit it. Like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Right. It's so true.
Hey, Brian. Brian's on from
Hey,
St. K.
Brian.
So much. Don't you love Brian? I love when I
I
get to.
do. I think that's the plan. We're going to meet at the St. Kate bar.
My favorite. I'm down. I'm so down. And I love that staff over there, and they're so good to me. I just was emailing with Sydney over there, at Marcus as a whole,
Yeah.
about some events that we have later this year. And so yeah, I love that. Oh, Brian said done. He'll host. Tell us
Done.
when.
We're there.
Tell us when.
Pull
We're
up the stool.
there. Did he get it? So we've got about 8 minutes left. Can you talk about, you gave some great insight about things slowing down right now and it being okay not to feel good every day, but what are you doing for your self-care also, and how are you keeping yourself busy during this time?
Okay, well, get a load of this, because this is
Okay.
one thing people would never think that I'm doing. But
Oh,
I
I
have
want to
become I am loving doing yard work. I have been outside so much
know.
in
Okay.
my yard, like
Mhm.
beyond I'm like obsessed with mowing the lawn, trimming the edge. Like I got like, knee pads to crawl around and pull weeds. Like, I
Oh,
mean,
we.
I'm like, hey, if I have the time, I'm gonna do it. And
Uh-huh.
it's been really, really fun. And honestly, it's been like an unexpected place of joy that I
Mhm.
just never really took the time to investigate much or to try. So I've
Mhm.
loved that. For the first time, so my husband Adam was home virtually teaching because he's a school
Mhm.
teacher. So,
Okay.
we've been home a lot, helping each other
Mhm.
figure out
Mhm.
those things.
Mhm.
And we've really had a good time. We're trying to,
Mhm.
go to different state parks and take walks.
Yeah, because are you a
And
newlywed? You haven't been married that long. How long have you guys been married?
we got married last September, so not
That's what
even
I
a
thought.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
yeah,
So great. So it reminds me of Deirdre and Ossie. I was like, what a great time to be like locked in together.
yeah, super
Uh-huh.
good. So
Uh-huh.
that's been good. And then I've taken out, we all have this list that we keep adding to of things to do for, in this case, for work, that
Mm-hmm.
just always kind of goes to the bottom of the list. So I've
Mm-hmm.
taken out those lists, and I've like started at the bottom now, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
making progress. I am going to be releasing a new logo, a new
Oh,
website, like
nice.
just
Nice.
things that have just always been too time consuming to do when I have a lot of other projects happening.
Agreed. Agreed.
So
Mm-hmm.
I've been, just really focusing on those types of things. Um, and it's been fun. It's allowed
Mm-hmm.
me to have some creative time. It's
Mm-hmm.
allowed me to, um, you know, be doing things at home that I love, to try new things
Mhm.
outside that I've never done before,
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
and still look good.
Yes, you look amazing. You look amazing. Yes. Yes. So
um,
are you getting dressed every day just because you just want to look good?
I'm not getting dressed every day, but like even when
Okay.
I do things like this,
Mhm.
Adam always makes fun of me. He's like, "Why are you wearing nice shoes?" And so like I get all like I'm really doing it. So I
Okay.
like, you know, spray a little cologne. I got the nice
Uh-huh.
shoes on. I've got the
Okay.
belt, you know. So I
Okay.
gotta feel it to really, you know, make
Oh,
sure.
I'm the opposite. I'm usually pajama pants at the bottom. It's like business at the top. I put on a bow for you. That's like I'm gonna
I
be with David.
love that.
I'm like, I
And
gotta
I
put a bow
said
on.
like we match, and we didn't
We
even
do.
know it.
We didn't.
Love it.
I love it. And I love what you said because I often, when I am coaching aspiring entrepreneurs or even, you know, some newer ones, I'm always talking about how we get so busy working in the business that we don't always get to work on the business. So I have a full in-house design studio and I have a website up that I built myself 5 years ago. Yet we're building websites every day for corporations, organizations.
Right.
My website does not reflect anything that the business has grown into. And so we are working on that in the background. We redid the logo towards the end of last year, but that, you know, you're right. This is given time. And then back to with the husband, my husband and I will be celebrating our 11-year anniversary in September. And I felt like we had become like two ships passing in the night. We would see each
Yeah.
other like at bedtime. And so he also has been working remote. And just the time together, we've done things like just get on our bikes to Elsa's and when it was not even open yet and just do carry out and eat in Cathedral Square, just the two of us and like a picnic. And
Yeah.
just getting back to the foundation of things and realizing like we're still friends. You're fun again.
Yes. We're fun people. We like each other.
Exactly. And we look good. And we look good. You know,
Yeah.
yes. And so
It's
that
so
has
fun.
been amazing. And even same with my kids. I have 4 children and I, you know, they were at school and running around and doing all their extracurriculars. So with their schedules slowing down, even the time I've gotten to spend with them, I feel like there was like so much happening in their little heads that now come out of their
Yeah.
mouth. And you know, now my daughters, when we went to brunch on Sunday at Cafe Hollander, my daughters are 7 and 11, and so my 7-year-old loves to say like, "Let's spill the tea." That's what you do when you eat, is spill the tea. And
Yeah.
she got that from TikTok or YouTube or something. And so then her older sister says, "Some tea needs to just stay in the cup," and I'm like, "What?"
Ah.
And I'm like, "Little girl, who are you? Where did
Ooh.
you come from?" Yeah, they're ones to watch.
I love
Um,
that. That's
so
so
now,
cool. Some tea needs to stay in the cup.
yeah,
Ooh.
she said some tea needs to stay in the cup, and I just looked at her like, "What are you talking about?"
Now I did try to figure out TikTok during quarantine, and I was
Mhm.
like, what is
We should do a TikTok
this?
together.
I
Yeah,
can't I haven't figured it out.
you should do the. I bet you
Oh,
won't.
ooh.
You know, and then it'd be like swag, and then it would be like love, details, and then you're supposed to pick something little, and it would be like mine would say patience, like it would be like this much water compared to all
Ooh.
the other. And so
I'm
that's
gonna
a cute
try
one.
it. I'm gonna
That's a
be
really cute one. And you can sit in your kitchen and
okay.
do it. Yeah, yeah,
Ooh,
yeah. He's
I'm gonna
gonna do the
try
I
that
bet you
one.
won't challenge.
I'm gonna be
And if you
ticking and
need
talking and
instructions,
preaching.
because my kids are pros. He's ticking, he's
Okay.
talking, and we're starting the Church of Dynamic Events. This is what we're all
Oh
doing during.
yeah. This is
I'm
a
all
life-changing power network.
all right. Well, that is our time. Tell everyone how they can reach you.
Oh, well, it's pretty easy to find me at Events by DC on Instagram, Facebook. DynamicEventsInc.com is my website. Feel free to reach out to me. Join the conversation. I love following people and sharing and seeing what all of you are doing. So I really appreciate this time, Chantel. It has been so much fun. I knew I was
Yeah.
going to love you. I just knew it. So when you asked me to be a part of this, I thought, This would be a great first meeting. And now I just know that we are going to be dangerous together, babe.
Yes. Yes. And you are the first man to be on Power Lunch. I just want you to know that.
Yes. I was going to ask you.
Yes. This is history. Yes.
Mark it down,
okay.
people. David Caruso.
Yes. I had to go big. I was like, who is the perfect man to be the first man on Power Lunch? It's got to be him. It's got to be. It's got to be. So thank you.
Yes, I love
All
that.
right.
Thank you. This has been
Have
so much
a
fun.
wonderful day. Thank you. You are dynamic and you are amazing, and you guys should book him, and he is phenomenal. And I am a huge fan, and I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you too. Be well, and give my best wishes to your family too.
Yes, and tell Adam hi. I can't wait to meet him too.
Oh, of course. We'll be at that bar.
All right. Sounds good. All right. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.